Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're digging into a really fascinating political story. It involves a major leader, currently outside her country, trying to engineer a return to power.
It really does feel like something out of a political thriller, doesn't it?
Absolutely. And our mission for you today is to really explore these complex maneuvers by Bangladesh's Awami League. Specifically, its leader Sheikh Hasina, who's operating from India right now.
We'll be looking at her legal strategy, which is, well, pretty unusual.
Yeah, and India's role, that delicate diplomatic dance they're doing, plus some surprising behind-the-scenes moves to maybe patch things up.
Our main source for this is a recent YouTube video transcript. It's from Biplob Paul, featuring journalist Gautam Lahiri. It gives some really interesting insights.
Okay, so what kicked this all off? The Awami League is gearing up for the national parliamentary elections coming up in February.
Good.
But here's the kicker. The party's political activities are, well, virtually banned in Bangladesh.
Which immediately makes you ask.
Exactly. How do you prepare for an election if you can't actually, do politics?
It's a great question. And the first thing to understand, according to the source, is the nuance of this ban.
Okay.
It's not that the Awami League party itself is illegal. It hasn't been banned outright.
Ah, so it still exists legally.
Yes, but its political activities were specifically restricted back in May 2025. They used an anti-terrorism law to do it.
An anti-terrorism law? That seems specific.
It is. It's a critical distinction.
Ah.
They didn't erase the party. They just effectively shut down its ability to function politically on the ground.
So why do it that way? Target the actions, not the existence.
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? It suggests a very calculated legal approach by the current government.
Meanwhile, Sheikh Hasina hasn't just been sitting quietly in India. The source says she's been there for a whole year.
A full year, and definitely not a holiday.
No kidding. She's been holding meetings, direct ones, and video calls with Awami League leaders. It seems like she's actively running the political strategy from abroad.
Which leads us right into her big countermove, this legal gambit.
Right. What's the core of her argument against this activity then?
Well, she's pointing to a past UN report. This report dealt with human rights abuses.
Okay.
Her argument, or her legal team's argument, is that this UN report allegedly called out leaders within the Awami League, specific individuals.
Not the party itself.
Exactly, not the party as an organization, as an entity. That distinction is everything for her appeal. The organization, she argues, wasn't implicated, just certain people.
And she's not messing around with legal representation either.
Not at all. She's hired two very big names, King's Counsel, or KCs, Stephen Pell's KC, and Alex Tinsley KC.
Wow. And they're from Doughty Street Chambers. That's pretty prestigious. The British Middle Temple, as the source calls it.
It is. And these lawyers, they have a track record. They often represent state leaders, particularly those facing accusations like human rights violations.
Like Alex Tinsley, wasn't he involved with?
Julian Assange. Yes, Tinsley was notably his lawyer. So you see the kind of legal firepower and experience she's brought in. It adds weight to her claim of legitimacy, that she's still the rightful leader.
So you've got this top-tier legal team. What's their first move?
They've gone straight to the UN. They're demanding an urgent hearing with the UN Special Rapporteur on the promotion of democratic international order.
Okay. Why that specific rapporteur? What's the significance there?
Well, their mandate is specifically about upholding democratic processes around the world. So getting a ruling from them carries a lot of moral and political weight internationally.
And the goal is obviously
to get the restriction on the Awami League's political activities lifted. Plain and simple.
But it's more than just that immediate goal, right? What are the strategic angles?
Oh, definitely. If the UN rules that this ban is, say, unethical or illegitimate.
That's huge.
It is. It gives the Awami League a really strong moral and arguably legal basis to demand participation in the election.
Even if the current government in Bangladesh just says no?
Even then. Because a favorable UN ruling lets the Awami League take its case to the Court of International Public Opinion. They can frame any attempt to exclude them as, an undemocratic move against a major political party.
So it's about creating that moral high ground, shaping the narrative globally, less about forcing immediate compliance, perhaps, and more about legitimacy.
Precisely. It's a long game.
Yeah.
And it connects back to Sheikh Hasina's own status during all this.
Right. The source stresses she insists she's still the prime minister.
Correct. She never formally resigned. She was displaced, forced to leave. according to the narrative presented.
Tell us more about that departure. It sounded quite dramatic.
It does. The source mentioned she apparently wanted to resign around August 1st, but the military advised her to wait.
Why?
Unclear. But then public unrest surged. Huge crowds were heading towards Ganapalban, the official residence.
A tense situation.
Extremely.
Yeah.
And the military made a critical decision not to open fire on the protesters.
Wow.
After that, the chiefs of the Navy and Air Force basically decided she couldn't remain in the country. It wasn't safe, or perhaps politically tenable.
And that's when India came into the picture.
Yes. Through diplomatic channels, she, her sister Sheikh Rahana, and one other person arranged to seek refuge in India.
So her lawyer's argument partly rests on this, that she's an elected PM forced out.
Exactly. They view her as the legitimate elected leader, even though she's in exile. It taps into that international principle of, well, generally supporting elected governments over those who take power through other means.
This whole UN appeals strategy, it feels pretty unique for South Asia.
It really is unprecedented, according to the source. You look at the region, the fragile democracies, Bangladesh's own history.
Leaders being assassinated, jailed, like Ziaur Rahman or Khalida Zia's situation.
Right, and remember, Khalida Zia's lawyer, Lord Carlisle, a British MP, he tried to hold a press conference in India about her case a while back. India denied him permission, which really underscores the kind of access and perhaps tacit support Sheikh Hasina currently has in India. It's a different situation entirely.
Which brings us squarely to India's role. It's a tightrope walk for them, isn't it?
Absolutely, a very delicate balancing act. On one hand, India definitely prefers stability in Bangladesh. They had 15 years of generally positive relations with Sheikh Hasina's government.
Things were stable, secure from India's perspective.
Largely, yes. Regional peace, security cooperation, those things mattered a lot to Delhi.
So are they actively trying to put her back in power?
The source suggests no, not actively trying to reinstate her, but they have allowed her significant freedom on their soil, freedom to move, to meet, to strategize politically.
And that's seen as a signal.
It's interpreted as a kind of diplomatic pressure tactic on the current government in Dhaka, a way for India to show its preference, maybe its unease, without directly interfering.
And is there reason for India to be uneasy?
Well, the source points to a trust deficit. India seems wary of the current Imraz government. Remember, that's the interim setup, not elected.
What are the specific concerns?
Several things are mentioned. Recent Indian export bans targeting Bangladesh. Growing ties between Bangladesh and China, which always gets Delhi's attention.
Okay.
And this visa agreement Bangladesh apparently struck with Pakistan. The concern is it allows easy entry for ISI operatives. That's a major security red flag for India.
ISI, Pakistan's intelligence agency, yeah, that would raise alarms.
Definitely. Plus, there's the construction of a new airport in Lal Manirhat. Bangladesh says it's no threat, but India seems apprehensive.
But it's not all suspicion. Bangladesh's High Commissioner in Delhi, Riazullah, he's trying to smooth things over.
Yes, he's reportedly very active, trying to normalize relations. He claims he has the backing of the Imraz government for these efforts.
Does he acknowledge the need for good ties?
He does. He recognizes Bangladesh's geography, basically saying they need a strong relationship with India. It's unavoidable.
So what's India's bottom line here?
Ultimately, the source suggests India's main priority is a free and fair election in Bangladesh, one where all parties, presumably including the Awami League, can participate.
Got it. And just to clear something up, there was talk about the Indian Army chief mentioning an imminent war. That's not about Bangladesh.
The source is very clear on that. General Upendra Trivedi's comments were about Operation Sindoor, which relates to Pakistan. It's currently on hold but could restart. Bangladesh shouldn't read anything into that regarding themselves.
Okay, good clarification. Now, let's shift to something really unexpected mentioned in the source, a meeting involving the RSS.
Yes, this was quite a surprise. Bangladesh's High Commissioner Riazullah met with Ram Madhav.
Ram Madhav, he's a very senior figure in the RSS, right? The ideological parent of India's ruling BJP.
Exactly, a very influential person. And the meeting took place at the Bangladesh High Commission in Delhi.
Why is this so significant? I mean, diplomats meet people all the time.
Several reasons. Ram Madhav used to visit Bangladesh regularly during Sheikh Hasina's time. But more recently, he actually wrote an article that was critical of her and the Awami League.
Oh, really? So meeting him now is interesting.
Very. It suggests the High Commissioner is really trying to understand the RSS perspective, figure out how to rebuild trust at different levels within India's political ecosystem.
Is there any other context?
There's also some talk, maybe speculation, that Criticism from RSS-linked groups about the treatment of Hindus in Bangladesh might have quieted down a bit recently. This meeting could be part of exploring that dynamic.
What might they have actually discussed?
Oh, absolutely. It would be framed as purely a judicial matter, but the timing and perception would be politically significant, especially if it followed this meeting.
Right, the political narrative around it.
Exactly. They might have also discussed future high-level talks, maybe even summit possibilities between the two countries.
And this outreach isn't just limited to Delhi.
No, the High Commissioner seems to be casting a wide net. He visited Gujarat, which is ruled by the BJP. And there are plans, apparently, to meet Yogi Adityanath, the Chief Minister of Uttar Pradesh.
Yogi Adityanath, seen by many as a potential future leader in India.
Precisely. So it's a broad diplomatic push. But, and this is crucial,
Yes.
all these positive steps, these outreach efforts, their real impact probably hinges on the upcoming election in Bangladesh. How free, how fair, how inclusive it is perceived to be.
That election outcome seems to be the key variable for everything.
It really does, and it brings up the whole issue of the current government's legitimacy.
Because it's not an elected government. The source mentions Nobel laureate Muhammad Yunus as an example of someone prominent in this non-elected setup.
Correct. And if this government isn't elected, questions naturally arise about its mandate to make significant agreements.
Like deals with other countries.
Exactly. The source mentions agreements with Malaysia or a provisional trade deal with the U.S. offering low tariffs. The public has a right to know what's in these deals.
Especially if this government claims to value transparency.
Right. There's an expectation, highlighted in the source, that they should be open about these agreements. Unlike, perhaps, past governments where there is sometimes suspicion about deals being made behind closed doors.
So openness becomes a kind of test of their legitimacy, in a way.
You could certainly see it that way. It's about building trust, both domestically and internationally, when you haven't come to power through the ballot box.
Okay, so wrapping this up, we've covered a lot. Sheikh Hasina's unprecedented legal challenge from exile using top international lawyers.
The careful political maneuvering, using India as a base.
India's own tricky position, balancing its interests with regional stability.
And these surprising diplomatic feelers being put out, like that RSS meeting.
It's a really complex picture, a high-stakes game of politics, law, and diplomacy playing out.
It absolutely is. And it leaves you thinking, doesn't it? In today's world with information flying everywhere and geopolitics shifting so fast, how do you tell the difference between genuine democratic efforts and just clever strategic power plays?
That's a deep question. And what does all this maneuvering we've discussed today signal about where power might be heading in the region?
It definitely gives you, the listener, a lot to consider. Think about it. What really makes an election fair in such a charged atmosphere? And what role should international law, these UN appeals, play in what are fundamentally domestic political contests?
Plenty to ponder there. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.